Good morning, Rabbi Isai. We're here, Erev Digas Chometz, on a marathon. Yesterday we did 4 shiurim. Today, Be'ez Hashem, another 4 shiurim. This is shiur number 2 out of a 4 shiurim series. And the point is to have enough shiurim for the Olam so that they don't fall behind. I know it's a very tough time for everybody, and it's difficult to learn, but Be'ezer Hashem, if you have all the shiurim, so you can learn a little bit before Yantiv, you can learn the Chalamayid, Motzi Yantiv, wherever you feel like doing it, but the ikr is to do it. So I'm going to try to give the shiur on a pace. I'm here, Mamish Chavrusa. What's your name again? Bernetsky? Barnetsky. Chil Barnetsky. From Muncie? From where? Garnerville, Muncie. That's right. You're neighbors with Mark Ashkenazi. Emes? Wow, okay, cool. So shkoyach for being here in Linkwood. You're at Kodesh Linkwood. So Mamash Chavrusa Shaft. You and the Balabayas who sneaking in and out during Shir. To remind the Olam, if you want to be part of the reminders and do Sfiras HaOmer from beginning to end, help you. Oh, Balabas is here. So here's the way to do it. I'm going to skip for now. Shkoyach. Skip for now the all the sponsorships, and we're going to go straight in to the shiur. The sponsors, official edition of the Shas Masechet by the Iranian Levi families, Perek, is sponsored by Reuven Harrison with Heartfelt Appreciation to Rebelli, and all the of the Wire Levi Tars that utilize the internet rights for Torah connect Jews everywhere to the eternal living Torah. By David Salomon, dedicated in memory of Avimari, the whole Masechet Reb Shmuel Baruch, Berem Chaim Tzvidoy Zichron Levracha. The Masechet is sponsored by Joel Gedalis, the lineage was my father Jack Gedalis, and Amos Hasoch Baruch Nizav Gashmiz, the Palachik Family Foundation. Lezechanish was a Rabbi Goy Reb Shlomo Palachik, the Meshach Ilui. Anonymous Refuah Shlema Lamesh Ben Izah, anonymous for complete Refuah Shlema and Ariel Yom to Leiba Bas Esther. Yisrael Malki Tov the Torah Speaking Mavizov Chazer. You're so proud of Yaakov Mordechai. Keep steiging. Send the Gross family. Can be either you can honor rebellion. Change my meaning of life. Plenty of money. Yossi Mark and Benny and all the Iskim Tzorchei. MDY Akash Baruch Shalom Scharam. Ari Simon, Refuah Shlema, Avi Meiri, Baruch Ben Miriam is a monthly sponsor, weekly sponsor. Bekravici family. Zechon Shmas. Our dear cousin Rabbi Simcha Lauer, may Zin Shama have an Aliyah. MDY Art Month, Refuah Shlema Yonatan Eitem B'Shav Bracha, Refuah Shlema Mordechai Ben Esther, Refuah Sayel Daniel Zeben Ayetas. The boys are holding on Daf Ayin Tesam Dbeis, 3 lines from the bottom, and to remind the Olam that we had 3 cases where there are 2 taidas involved. A taida is when something good happens to you, a person gets out of jail, he's able to go over the ocean, the midbar, the desert. He has a refuah shlema. He brings a taida with 40 breads. What happens if you end up with 2 taidas? Do you have to bring in this situation two breads? In other words, 2 times 40. What are the situations? Situation number 1 is, or out of order, or with order, the taida had offspring. So you have 2 taidas now in front of you. Mishnah says you don't have to bring more bread. The other one is, you did a tmura. Tmura is where you say that this, here, Rabbi Yisai, I bought today, shmak. It's one of the milas of Golos. I wanted 2 sheep. I went on Amazon, and everything was coming tomorrow, but these sheep, if you push the button and you pay extra $3, $4 or $5, it comes to your house within an hour. Meshuggah. Thinking about like, in other countries, you order Amazon, it takes literally 2 to 3 weeks to come. Just to show the Olam. I know you're not so familiar. Show you. This was today. If you push in 3 hours, $4.99. So here it is. Total for 2 sheep, $24.81. Yeah, $24.81. Givaldi here. It's basically it's a very chashva thing. 10,000 were bought this past month. It's sugar. It squeaks. It's givaldic. So, anyways, we have sheep number 1 and sheep number 2. This was the original. Sheep number 1 was the original, and then you saw sheep number 2. You liked it more. You said, "I want this sheep number 2 to be instead of sheep number 1." That's a tmura. That's awesome. So now you have 2 sheep. How many breads do you bring? So it says in the Mishnah, you only bring 1 set of breads, 40 breads. What if sheep number 1 got lost? And you brought sheep number 2 instead of sheep number 1. And before you even had a chance to shech this, sheep number 1 shows up. For that, we actually have a gewaldige video. It's the continuation of yesterday's video. Here you go. I'm going to turn this way so you don't have to. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. So now you have the option of giving the bread, shechting the yellow one. Thank you, Hashem. You have the option of bringing the yellow one, shechting the yellow one, and bringing the breads with the yellow one, or you have the option to do it with the smaller one. Why? Because both of them are in front of you. When both of them are in front of you, you can do whatever you want. Akol Panim says the Gemara like this: Sholach Rav Chanina Mishmei de Rabbi Yochanan. So they said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Lo Shanu. When does the Mishnah mean that you don't have to bring a second pair of bread? When you shechted number 1, and now you have number 2, so you don't have to bring bread for the second one. But before the kapara, you need to bring bread for both. Now, what are we talking about exactly? Haviba Rav Amram. So ask Rav Amram Mahaya. What is he talking about? I want to remind the oil. There's 2 types of a toida. You can have this is the nedava. Nedava means I'm talking about one particular one. I said Harei Zu. This particular one, that's the one I'm bringing. If this one dies, gets lost, whatever it is, I don't have to replace it because I said Zu. But if I make a neder, not a nedava, I talk about myself and I say I, Eli Stefansky, am going to bring bli neder. That's why we say neder. A toida. So it doesn't matter if this one gets lost. I have to bring another one. But it's a big nafkemina. Why? Because if I made it a dava, as the Gemara is going to say in a second, so now my chiyuv is dafka on this one, zu. So if I bring another one, number 2 has nothing to do with number 1. It's as if I decided on my own to bring 2 nedavas. Okay? So on both of them, I'd have to bring bread. Why wouldn't I have to bring bread? Last line on the Amud, if I'm talking about that I brought my toida got lost. But what kind of toida? Toida, I said, it's on me. I have a chiyuv. It's a chayva. It's on me. On both of these cases, we learned that what? Like we saw over here, that if both of them are standing in front of him, let's see if I can do it real quick. He's standing in front, and we're over here, right over there. At this point, when both of them are standing in front of him, he could pick a choose. He could say, I want the bread to go with the yellow. I want the bread to go with the white. And if it's after I already got my kapara, I shechted the yellow, then white does not get bread. Elo daf peomer aleph, we must be talking about Elo achalife toidas nedava. He said, Hare zu. He pointed to one and he said, this particular one. Bein lefnei kapara, bein la'achar kapara tunas lechem. Why? Both of them are going to need bread. Mar b'toidasu. It's literally that he decided to bring 2 toidas. There's situations where a person has a kar satayv, like in this case. He has tremendous kar satayv to Rebbe Yishla. So he brings another toida. There's in Hebrew it's called asir todah. He's a prisoner of akar satayv. He constantly wants to give akar satayv. But there's soharei todah. There's a person who's what's the word in English? The guy that's in charge of the prisoners. Warden. He's the warden of. He's constantly telling people how you have to be makar tova to me. Remember, I once gave you a ride. How come you don't appreciate it? Oh, I gave you a ride. How come you don't let my kids into your school? Da, da, da. He's constantly pulling up the favors. And what's super interesting is that the Mordechai in Arvi Psachim, the Rishon Mordechai, he says in Arvi Psachim that the carbon pesach that we bring is a kar satov to Rebbeinu Shalom. It's a toida. It's a sort of toida. We're saying thank you Hashem for releasing us from slavery, from Mitzrayim. So it doesn't matter if you bring one or two. If you bring two, the second one has nothing to do with the first one. The first one is my chiyuv. If it gets lost, I don't have to bring a second one. Why did I bring a second one? Because I'm giving a kar satov to Rebbeinu Shalom. So both of them require bread. Elo avlad toidas nedava. So it must be talking about the offspring, the other case in the Mishnah, not the case where one got lost, but rather where the mother had offspring. Avlad toidas nedava. Here, let's see this one. There's the offspring of an nedava. Elo avlad toidas nedava. So there's the toidas nedava and there's the chayvas nedava. So we're talking about the toida that's in nedava. He said, I want this one. So bein lefnei kapara, bein lacha kapara, ein tu'unim lechem. So you see on the bottom over here, there's no bread in the basket. Why? Before kapara, because it's moisar the toidahi. This is just the leftover from the mother. It's not its own thing. It's under the mother, and therefore the bread that goes with the mother is enough. You don't have to bring bread for the offspring. So el avlad toidas chayva. The next case that you're mechuyev to bring. I like the wheels on the stroller. They're made out of the matzah, the challah that you bring with the toida. The vlad toidas chayva. So the fnei kapara tol nechem. If I must bring it, I said Ariel lai. So before the kapara, I could use the offspring, and therefore I have to bring bread. Here, let's just press this button right over here. See, before the kapara, it would require bread, but after the kapara, it does not require bread. What's the big chiddush here? That I'm permitted to receive a kapara through the offspring of the original. That's Rabbi Yochanan. Because I can receive, and that's why the offspring is chayav in the challah, in the bread. Abai went through the whole sugya and he came up with the same svara. And now we're going to do a review of what we just learned. So here it is in pictures. If my toidaf ran away, got lost, and I brought a replacement, but it's an adava. In other words, I said, this particular one is what I'm bringing. So bein lifnei kapara, bein lacha kapara, it doesn't matter if it's an adava, which is the one on the right, you always have to bring bread, that we said. Bein lifnei kapara, bein lacha kapara tun lechem. Why? That we already established, that the second one is not necessary for you to bring. Why? Because you accepted upon yourself only the original one, and the second one is completely extra. It's the second one. It's as if I brought two separate titles, 3 titles. A person can bring 5 titles, but in each and every one that he brings, he has to bring bread. What about Vlad, Toidas, Nidava? But if the Nidava had offspring, why doesn't it need bread? It's the offspring. It's the outcome of the original Toida, which that had bread, so the offspring doesn't need bread. However, if it's Vlad Toidas Chayva, but if you said upon yourself, Ariel Toida, I'm bringing a Toida, and it had offspring, so if you used it, Lefnei Kapara Tunim Lechem. If it's a Chayva, you said Ariel, which is the one on the left, Lefnei Kapara Tunim Lechem, Lachem Tunim Lechem. Once I got the kapara, I don't need bread. Okay. Nu sogi Rabbi Isai. Omar Shmuel. Says Shmuel. What are we, like 12 lines from the top? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 lines from the top. Amar Shmuel. Kol shebechatas meisa betoida ein tuna lechem. He says two halachas here. He starts off saying two halachas. The Gemara is going to say at the end he only said one, which is the first line. What are those two halachas? If in the same situation you have a chatos that must die, there's 5 types of chatos that must die, 5 situations. To remember it, it's vitimna. We'll go through them one by one real quickly. That same situation in a taida, then don't bring bread with the taida. If the chatas must die, so if it's a taida, don't bring bread. Which chatas must die? The offspring of a chatas must die. There's nothing to do with it, because the chatas only comes for forgiveness, for an avera. If the chatas had offspring, what are you going to do with the? You can't use it. That's it. It was designated for the Chil Shabbos I did last week. I can't bring it for Chil Shabbos this week. So that chatas must go in a room and die. Tomorrow's chatas, if you say this B is instead of A, so the B has to die. What's the next one? Chatas shemesu baleh. If right before the person was able to bring his chatas to the Beis Hamikdash, she died. That's it. Here's the case. Shmak.
Sorry, buddy. You're a chatos shemeso bailov.
הלווייתה של הכבשה הקדושה החטוס תצא היום משעה 12 מבית ההלוויות שמגר.
אנחנו כולם זוכרים את הסבר פונים יפויס והאכפתיות והמידות טובות והשמיים של חברינו.
Okay. Kitzer, they made a levaya for this chatas shemesu baleh. If the owner dies, she must die also. Fourth one is chatas sheniskaper baleh. If the owner already had a forgiveness because it got lost, the original got lost, and he brought a second one. And the fifth one is chatas shavar shnasa. If the chatas went into the second year of its life. Oh, so that one doesn't really apply to taida because taida can be older. But if these cases happen to a taida, in other words, taida had an offspring, you did a tmura to the taida, the owner died, whatever, then you bring the taida as is without bread. That's what Shmuel says, without bread. Halacha number 2 that he says is, Kol shebechatas raya. If the chatas must graze to befolamum, which is what we call kevis land, you send it to a special place that you do all sorts of sports to break its bone. And once it breaks its bones, it becomes a balmum, and then you could redeem it. If that's the case, tuna lechem. If the same case happened with the taida, if a chatas would have to go to kevis land, then by the taida, the same case, it would require the bread. Was a Ramram, so Ravam Rasakasha. This is a sugi that we did yesterday, so super easy. It says in the pasuk Hatoy de Yaakov. You should bring the taida as a carbon. How do you know that if he designated a taida and it got lost, and you designated a second one instead of the first one? And you found the first one, the video that we showed. And both of them are standing in front of you. How do you know I could be makriv either or? Talmud loymar and bring the bread with it. Talmud loymar hatoy the yakriv, whichever one you want. And perhaps both of them need bread. Talmud loymar yakrivenu, one, singular. Yakrivenu, bread goes to one, not to two. Vilo asked the Gemara, we have a big problem. You told me that in such a case, in such a case, if you have the two in front of you, there's actually 3 cases. We'll go through them real quickly, but just pause now for a second. You have 2 chatais in front of you, so you shecht one, and the second one goes out to graze. You don't kill it. When do you kill it? In the other case, where you designated one, it got lost, you bought a second one, and you shechted the second one, and then Shalom Yisrael, the first one, Shalom Aleichem, the first one comes back. Then you must kill the first one. But when Both of them, it showed up before you had a chance to shech the second one. Now you have two options in front of you. Then you let it graze according to this mandar. This nan, both of them in front of you. They're Rebbe, but we don't pass it like a Rebbe. We pass it like a Chachamim. You don't kill the second one. Only if you found the first one after you already shechted the second one. But if both of them in front of you, Raya. And if it's Raya, we said, let's look again in what Shmuel says. What's his lashon? If in the case where the chatas grazes, that's the case we just said, you would have to bring breads for the toida. But Shmuel says you don't bring breads in such a case. What do I do? So the Gemara, Shmuel Kirebi Sirila. Shmuel holds like Rebbe, the Omar, Avud B'Shas Safroshim Eisa. No. There's another man, the Omar. We brought. Rebbe holds, like not like Chacham, that if you find the second one, you find the original. Let's do it again here with this. This was the original. You put this aside for chatas. It got lost. So you bought number 2. And then number 1 shows up. Now you have 2 of them in front of you. What do? Rebbe holds that you shecht one, either one, but the other one must die. Oh, the other one must die. Then there's taka no bread. That's why Shmuel says in that case there's no bread. Now, what is the case? So you say Shmuel goes like Rebbe. The what? When you have 2 of them in front of you and you shecht one, the other one must die. So what's the case of grazing? Where in the world does he graze? So the Gemara can Rabbi Shaya. There is a case. Oh, so let's go through the 3 cases. Case number 1 is you set this aside as a chatos. It got lost. You bought another one. Now, case number 1 is this guy came back. So you have 2 in front of you. Case number 2 is this guy did not come back. You shechted this guy. And then this guy comes back. That's a case. That's a classic case where this guy must die. According to everybody, this guy must die. There's a 3rd case. That from day 1, I brought 2 karbanos to the Beis HaMikdash. I only have to bring 1 chatas, but I brought 2, and I said one of them is an achrayas. If something happens to one, I'll have a second one. Oh, in a case like that, according to Rebbe, you're not gonna kill him. You're not gonna kill the second one because you l'chatchila brought both of them on condition that I'm gonna use one. Here's the achrayas miskaper bezim emshir. So you can use 1 or 2. Bahashniya tira. That's a case where you send it to keveslet. You let it go graze and befall a mum because you brought both of them as achrayas. But here's a case where by the chatos it goes grazes. What's the halacha? Let's go. Let's see in Shmuel again. If by the chatos it grazes, I'm going 13 lines from the top. In that case, the toida would require bread. No, but we're just saying that according to Shmuel, it doesn't require bread. There's a problem, a contradiction to Shmuel's solid rule. So we must say, El Shmuel Reb Shimon Svirle. Shmuel holds like Reb Shimon by Chai that what the Omar Chomish Chatois Mesos. There's no ifs and then buts. The 5 Chatois always die in all situations, even in the situation where I bought 2 as a chrayis and I brought them to the Beis HaMikdash. If you're going to shech number 1, number 2 must die. If you shech number 2, number 1 must die. Oh. What about the second part of Shmuel? Now, there's no such thing as grazing, because in all cases, every chatas must die. So which chatas is going to go graze? There is no such thing. You're right. According to Shmuel, they never graze. Shmuel says that if it grazes, it requires bread. Shmuel he never said that. He only said 1 line. If the chatas must die, there's no bread. He never spoke about a situation where it grazes. What's this chiddush? The Rebbe Yochanan that we said earlier, the Omar, Adam is kaper b'sheva hegdesh. Rebbe Yochanan is the one that says you can have kapara with the vlad of the hegdesh. And he says, no way. There's no kapara, there's no bread for the Vlad Hegdish. Because why? Because by the chatos in such a situation, the Vlad of a chatos, according to Shmuel, must die. Not according to Shmuel. That's one of the 5 chatos that must die. So the same situation by a toida, there'll be no bread. If you have an offspring of a toida, there's no bread. Rebecca says there is bread, and Shmuel comes along. Kamashon, there's no bread. Okay, Rabbi Yisai, another sugi. Omar Rebbe Abba. If a person says zu toida v'zu lachma, he points. Oh, so Shimi Braun, as you know, sent me a lot of matzahs, and he sent me these small cube boxes for kids. In these boxes, small little matzahs like this, mamish, real matzah, but baby size. I don't know about kazaysim for these kids. So a guy goes, I'm going to use these matzahs, right? Because you need matzah for toida. You can't have chametz in this house. Zu toida, v'zu lachma. This is the toida, this is the bread. Ovar alechem, what if the bread got lost? Maybe lachem macher, it's not a big deal. Go buy more bread. Of the toida, but what if the animal got lost? Maybe toida lacheres. You can't bring another toida to go together with this bread. It's farfalin. Why? Because the ikir is the animal, not the bread. My taitma lechem liglal toida. Vein toida liglal lechem. The bread goes for the toida, not the toida for the bread. This is the ikir and this is the tafel. The bread is the tafel. The Hasidim like to say on this, they say lechem glal toida, that you're supposed to eat. You heard this word. You're supposed to eat in order to daven well. You're not supposed to daven in order to eat. It's a lot of people, they're davening because they even come to shul. I know a guy who's the opposite of religious. Okay, he's an atheist, but he goes to shul so he could have kiddush. He loves kiddush. He remembers back in the day he had kiddush, socializing. That's what's good about from people, the social, blah blah blah, whole drushing game. But unfortunately, we have a little bit of it also. We're waiting for that shalom for the Kiddush club. Do not daven to get to the food. One time they asked Rav Shteiman, I don't know which mechutzav asked, but okay, somebody asked Rav Shteiman if he give musar to the Amshanov Rebbe, because the Amshanov Rebbe is coming to visit him. So it's a good opportunity to put him in his place, to tell him, why do you daven at all these crazy hours? There's halacha, shulchan aruch, you have to daven b'zman. So the Amshanov Rebbe came, and Rav Shimon offered him some fruit, some grapes. So the Amshanov Rebbe takes a grape, shvis haminim, and makes a very, very long bracha, and then he ate the grape. They made a very long bracha. Achrayna. Michya, bracha achrayna. So they asked Rav Shimon, so why don't you give him musar? He says, I can't give musar to somebody who makes a 3-minute bracha and then eats for 3 seconds. If a guy makes a 3-second bracha and eats for 3 minutes, then I could give musar, but not the reverse. Oh. The ikir. There's the ikir in the tafel. V'omar Rava. So we have 2 halachas here. Hifrish moizle tidasai. Oh, 27 minutes and we're turning to that bay, Omid Bay, is mamish a record for Erev Yantev, Vinita Yisrael. 2 halachas. If a person sets aside money and he says, this money is for a toida, think about it. If he says, this money is for a toida, could he buy the toida breads with that money? Says the Gemara, yes. If he has leftover money, first he buys the toida. If he has leftover money, he can buy the bread. But if a person sets aside money and says, this money is for the toida breads, he cannot buy toida with it because toida is not included in breads. Breads is included in the toida. That's what you just said. The ikir is the toida. So the breads come after. They come because of it. Maybe bahem lechem. If you have leftover, v'nitois, you have change, you can buy with it bread. But what if he put aside money and he said, lilachmi toida, this is only for the breads. V'nitois, when he had leftover money, hey, maybe he's not permitted to buy the actual carbon with it. Why? By taima. Ilema. Perhaps it's because the Rav Kahana don't Rav Kahana. How do you know the breads of a toida called a toida? It says it in a funny way. Hatoida chalis, that the toida is called bread, matzos. Okay, so the toida is called chalis. Chalis are called toida. Yeah, but lechem ikri toida, toida lo ikri lechem. The bread follows the toida, so it's called a toida. But the animal is never called a bread. The bread is called a toida, but the animal is not called bread. Okay, so now we have a sugya of the world's biggest shlamazel. He set aside a toida and ran away. And he went and he bought a second one. What happened? And it also ran away. He's not the biggest lamazel. We had stories that are even better than this. Okay, so now what happens? He has all three animals in front of him. Now all three of them are there. So Mark Ashkenazi told me about a friend of his, a big tzaddik in Atzala, who lost his radio. Searched, does that. So he contacts Atzala. He says, listen, I need another radio. So they send him a radio. Tonight, he's doing B'dikas Chametz. Guess what he finds under his bed? His pants, or in England, his trousers, with the belt, with the radio on the belt. I don't understand the story. Like, he didn't chap that he's missing a belt, that he's missing his trousers. Okay, is this one of these guys, verstehst? This sugi mamish passed over here, that he lost his toida, bought another one, lost that again, bought another one. Okay. And as Mazel would have it, all three show up. So here they are, right here, all three. So now we're sugi, right? The yellow one, thank you, Hashem one is the number one. That was the original. Let's push the button here. Look what happens. He has a kapara. In other words, he shechs number one. What's number two? Number two was instead of number one. What's number three? Number three was instead of number two. So number two for sure doesn't get bread. Why? Because number one had bread. And number two is instead of number one. So the bread was taken care of through number one. But what about number three? Number three is far removed from number one. Number three has no connection to number one. So number three, you shech, but you have to bring bread for number three. What if you shech number three? Number one is far removed from number three, so you would have to bring bread for number one, but not number two. What if you shech number two? One and three are connected to two. So both one and three would not need breads. Let's see inside. Here, you see, empty basket, no bread. Shlishis, tuna lechem. Three doesn't need bread because three has nothing to do with one. B'shlishis, what if we're the opposite? Here we do kapara with number three. Here we go. Where is it? New, boom. Bread everywhere. So number three had a kapara, so there's bread. He brought bread. Shniya, lechem. Number two doesn't get a bread. And number one does get bread because one has nothing to do with three. What? Here's another case. The middle one you shechted and you brought breads together with the middle one. Oh, so the middle one took care of one and three. The middle one is connected to both. One and three don't need bread. Abai says no. It doesn't matter because two is instead of one and three is instead of two. So in essence, three is instead of one. They're connected. They're all connected. Three is for two and two is for one. So three is instead of one also. So Amela what? It doesn't matter which one you use. Even if you do a kapara with number one, you'd not have to bring bread for number three. Each one is instead of the other one. Omar Reb Zeira v'chein le'inin chatois. Rabbi say mamish easy stuff. Mamish the whole daf, everything is easy. The same exact halacha would apply with the chatos. The what? If you have two chatois and you shecht one, what do you do with the second one? It has to die. So what if you brought one, it got lost, so you bought a second one. The second one got lost, so you brought a third one. So if you shecht number one, number two must die. But number three doesn't die because number three has nothing to do with one. So what do you do with it? It has to graze. If you shecht number three, three and one have no connection, so one must graze, but two must die. What if you shecht the middle one? Both of them must die. Let's see the chart. Here you did the thing. Great. No. Oh, 3 chatois. If you shech the number 1, you got to compare with number 1. So number 2 must go into the kippah and die. And number 3 grazes. Is all on him for. Well, the fact he has knees and everything. Same applies if you shech the number 3. So number 2 dies, number 1 grazes. What if you shech number 2? Both must die. Because they're all connected. 1 and 3 are connected to 2. Inside our reserve, applies to the chatas. You set aside a chatas and it got lost, and you set aside another one. Instead of it and it got lost, and then you set a third one. And you have all 3 now in front of you. All 3 are here standing. If you got to compare with the first one, the second one must die because the second one is instead of the first one. Shlishis, which has no connection, the third one has no connection to the first one. Tira, it should graze. Shlish is the same thing with the reverse. Got a kapara on the third one. Shnia Thomas, the second one, which is instead of the third one. I mean, the third one is instead of the second one. So Mela Thomas, the second one must die. The first one must graze. And if you do kapara with the middle one, Shtemi Musu 1 and 3 must die. Same Abaya as the Toida. He comes along again and says, listen, it doesn't matter. 3 and 1 are connected. Why is there a 3 here? Because there's a 2. And why is there a 2? Because of the 1. So 1 and 3 are connected. Therefore, if you shecht 1, even number 3 must die. As the Gemara of Ma'avechei, why do I have to tell another case of chatos when it's actually the same thing? By the Toida, there's a concept saying, I want to give more shvach to the Rebbeinu Shalom, so I'm bringing more Toida. Great. It's also for you to bring more chatos. You only bring a chatos when you do an avera. Maybe they're not connected. They are connected. Kamash malon that they're both the same. Toida and chatos are all the same. Tani Rebbe Chia. So now we have a Rebbe Chia that says something, and it's interesting. The Gemara is going to try 15 times, 15 different ways to see if we have a eitzah for Rebbe Chia, and that's going to go all the way to tomorrow on Daf Pei Aleph Amud Aleph, which is actually today. I'm going to give it today, all the way to the bottom of Pei Aleph Amud Aleph. So basically, to a whole Amud and a half over here. What's the case? Simple case. Toida shenisare b'tmurasa umeiso achazmen. Our boy said, here we go. A guy brings number 1 Toida. Then he goes ahead and he makes a tmura. What's a tmura? He says, I want this to be instead of this. He likes this guy more. He thinks it's nicer for the Rebbeinu Shalom to have number 2. That's Issa Deraisa called tmura. One of them is a tmura. Number 2 is a tmura. Now he got mixed up. He doesn't remember, and it got mixed up. What's this? This I didn't see it. Oh, this would have been great for the Hebrew Shir. Got mixed up. Beautiful. The Toida and the Tmura got mixed up. Wow. I hope Kobe could throw that into the Hebrew. Mark, could you please tell Kobe? You want to see it again? Mark, are you controlling the shir or I am? What's going on here? You want to watch it again so we all have to suffer? 2 thumbs up. Anyways, please tell Kobe to throw this into the Hebrew if he can. Great. Tell him it goes by where it says Tani Rebbe Chia Toida shenisare b'tmurasa. So now I have numbers on these, but we don't know the numbers. They all look the same. They're all mixed up. We don't know. One of them got lost. Boom. So I'm left with number 1. Great. I don't know if this guy is an Asr guy or this guy's the original guy. Is this guy a Tmura or not? What's the difference? Tmura, no bread. No bread with the Tmura. I have to shecht it, but no bread. If this is the original, this is my real Toida, because I came on a plane from America to Eretz Yisrael, and I want to bring the Rebbeinu Shalom a Toida, because I crossed the ocean and the desert and everything, and you hold like the Shita, like 95% of Klal Yisrael, the who make Gaimel, so you'd bring one of these. Eli Stefansky doesn't. That's his proud. So you would bring two of these and a carbon. My own father makes Gaimel. I have a big fight with him about it. Okay, but he's not a pilot. I'm a pilot, and I decided it's not a sakana. And I'm not getting into it. And people say it has nothing to do with sakana. It has to do with crossing over. I said, I didn't cross. I was in the air. Okay, that's their fight. But I heard later on the Briskers don't, and the Chaim Berliners don't, and yesh al mi lismoich. Fine. So, listen to what he says. One of them died. You don't know what to do with it. You can't bring it as a carbon. Why? What should you do? If you're going to bring the bread with this guy, number one, perhaps it's not a real taida. How are you going to bring bread with it? If you're not going to bring the bread with it, how can you bring this without bread? Says the Gemara, let's just understand the question, then we'll try to solve it. Solve it in 15 different ways. If he said, I accept it upon myself, so that's different. Why? Then you're gonna, if you accept upon yourself a taida, then you must buy another taida. So you're gonna buy another taida in the store, and then I have to be magdim rabbi, so I have to be magdim. Forgot the very important thing. If one of them died, is his problem. But what if both of them are in front of us? One is a tmura, one is not, and they got mixed up. What do I do? Very, very simple. I bring the bread, but I make a condition. If number two is my real one, the original one, then the bread goes to number two. And if number one is the original one, then the bread goes to number one. That solves all issues. I don't have any issue. Because I can bring the bread, and one of them is going to get the bread on the condition. But what happened was one of them died. So, but I said I accepted by myself a taida, so I'm going to have to bring another one. I bring another one. Then I do a condition. I say, if this is the original, number one is the original, so the bread is going to go with the original. If number one is a tmur and I can't bring bread to it, so the second one that I bought is going to be a new taida, and this is the bread for the new taida. So it can't be that I accept it upon myself. He should bring another animal, and he should bring bread, and he shall say, if the first one is tmura, so the second one is an original taida, and that's my bread. Number two is my original. But if the first one is the real taida, this is its bread. And number two, the second one that I bought, is just an achrayis, just as a backup. Says the Gemara, okay, you're right. The whole question is, Reb Chia's problem is, he didn't say harei. He said, this should be my taida. Then it got mixed up. Then I don't have to buy another one. There's no achrayis in such a situation. You asked me, you should go to the store and buy another one. I don't have to. And if I don't have to, I can't. One has nothing to do with the other. I can't use the second one instead of the first one. There's no achrayis. Siman. This is Rabbi Sai, I think, the longest siman in Shas. Just to remember it, you have to be a genius. Siman. Limuda midas Allah. Sheishochen the Mea, the Dama, the Erzro, Cholash, Moise, Tmura, Bechutz, Chizkiah, Hifrish, Chatos, Lacher, Yosef. Omru lemeidim lefnei Rebbe. So anytime you have a shaila, you don't know what it means. Anytime you have a funny name in Shas, like Acher Moimrim, you go to where? You go to Sanhedrin, Daf Yud Zayin, Amud Beis. You go to our Monopoly game, and then you look at the Monopoly game, it says over there, and Rashi says this is the same thing. Lemeidim lefnei Chacham, top right corner. Lemeidim lefnei Chacham, it means Levi asked Rebbe, or told Rebbe. So let's see. Lemeidim lefnei Rebbe. Lemeidim said in front of Rebbe. In other words, Levi said in front of Rebbe, Leisi lechem v'leima. He should bring bread and he should say, Ihach de kaima toidahi halachma Eloi lepik l'chulim. All right, so we got this guy in front of us. We don't know, is this guy a tmura, which does not require bread, or this guy is the original taida and it requires bread? Bring bread and say, atnai. If this is the original, givaldik, here's 2 breads, 40 breads, great. And if this guy is not the original, this guy's tmura, okay, so the bread will go back to the store. Says the Gemara, you can't do that. Why? It's also for you to bring chulin into, if it's not, if this is a tmur, so then it comes out that this bread is not taida bread. This is just regular angel bread. Angel. Berman. You're not allowed to bring Berman bread into the Beis Hamikdash. Another question. So bring another one and say, okay, so this is the problem one. Number one is the problem one. Bring a number two and bring bread and say like this. If number one is a piece of tmura, then I'm going to use number two. So I have a great toida and bread. Toida with bread. But if this is the toida, I'm going to bring number two as a shlamim. Wow. So I have a question for the oilam. Think about this for a second. Tomorrow we don't say mizmar l'saida. Why don't we say mizmar l'saida? Because on Pesach you're not allowed to bring a toida. Why can't you bring a toida? The whole Pesach we don't say mizmar l'saida. Why not? You're not allowed to bring a toida on Pesach because part of the toida is chametz. And you can't bring chametz on Pesach. So why not Erev Pesach? Because part of the day you can't eat chametz. You can only eat chametz in the morning. And from the zman you're not allowed to eat chametz. So I'm lessening the time of me eating the carbon toida. Even though I can finish it, I'm not allowed to do that. I'm not allowed to bring a carbon knowing that I'm going to be able to eat it less time than necessary. Oh, knowing that, now we can understand why I can't make number two a shlamim. If this is not a toida, it should be a shlamim. Well, a toida you can only eat for one day. A shlamim you can eat for 2 days. But now I'm going to have to be machmer just in case that this is actually a toida. I don't know if this is a toida or not. I brought it as a condition. It could be a toida, it could be a shlamim. But on the tzad that it's a toida, I can only eat it for 1 day. So even if it's a shlamim, I have to be makbid and only eat it for 1 day instead of 2. That's also because I'm lessening the time that I'm allowed to eat it. You heard the guy with toida, sorry, Amar Levi, no. Mishum Amar Lahu. So Rabbi tells Levi, Mishum the Kumamayid Bachilo the Shlamim, because he's lessening the time that you're allowed to eat the Shlamim. Omar Levi LeRebbi. I had a good pshat. I think it's a good pshat. In middle shir before it came to me. I hope it's right. They're not Amaratzis. Over here, the Gemara says Levi tells Rebbe. Says Rashi, didn't Levi tell Rebbe before? We said Lameidim is Levi, who told Rebbe. Oh, says Rashi, because Levi was talking privately to Rebbe. 25 people are live on YouTube right now, learning the Gemara a little earlier than usual. Okay, great. Shalom Aleichem. 25 people. Shalom Aleichem. That doesn't give you a heter not to watch the shir live later on. I'm going to do Daf Pei Aleph Bezer Hashem later on, maybe 10:30 New York time, something around there. Zog the Gemara. Oh, listen to this. Says Rashi, because he's private. So if he's private, he's not Lameidim. It's called Levi. Levi the Rebbe. Asks Levi to Rebbe, Velesi behema velechem, he should bring an animal and bread, velema, and he should say, Yihach the kaima tmuroi. If this guy, number one, is the tmura, which is nothing, ha toida, so number two will be the toida, and ha lachman is the bread, vi ha the kaima toida he. But if number one is the original toida, so what am I going to do with the number two? Ha lachman, so the bread goes with number one. V'ha teve moiser the toida. This should be the leftover of the taida. Omar Lei, so Rebbe didn't like this at all. I love this lashon. I used it many times. It seems to me that this guy is brainless. He doesn't have a brain. Brainless. I like it too much. Sometimes I use it on my kids. Not good. I go like this to some of my kids. Not it's hollow. It seems like it's hollow. It's no brain in it. How can you say such a silly thing? Can you bring a leftover animal? If it's leftover, it's leftover. You have no choice. But to bring it and say this is a leftover, either it's a good taida or it's a leftover. You can't do that. So, first of all, it occurred to me in the other shir, and it could be this. I don't know. It seems so simple. Then maybe that's why Rashi points out that it's Levi in front of Rebbe that it was private. That's what Rashi says. It was private. And Memela, it makes sense now. What's his lashon here? Levi. Rashi's pointing out that it was private because he embarrassed him. He wouldn't do it in front of other people. He yelled at him, but in private. Different than the story about Reb Shalom Shvadron. Reb Shalom Shvadron says that when he learned in Chevron, one time they davened a mincha very late. It was close to Shkia, and when the Chazan finished Shmoneh Esrei, it was already after Shkia. So Reb Shalom Shvadron knocks on the bima, screams Kaddish. He tells the Chazan, "Go Kaddish, don't do Tachra." The Yeshiva is there. Okay. After davening, the Yeshiva calls him over in front of the whole yeshiva, in front of the whole Chevron, and says, "I want you to read this Mishnah Berurah out in front of everybody." What does it say here? It says in Mishnah Berurah that when this situation happens, you do say Tachnun, but you don't put your head down. You don't know Nefilas Apayim. What business do you have to tell everybody the wrong halacha? But I gave it to him. Says Reb Shalom Shvadron, he went into the dorm, went to sleep for 2 days. He was so depressed, so sad. But then he got over it. He says, in that generation, when the Yeshiva yelled at you like that, it was good, it was Tayelis, I got out of it something. In our generation, can't do it. The Rambam actually learns from this Gemara that it's mutter to embarrass your student in front of other Talmidim, although that's what I'm just saying. From Rashi, it seems like it wasn't in front of those, in order to be mechanachim. Okay? And then we'll just do one more here. Yosef Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Shmuel Bar Marto Kamei the Reb Nachman Yosef Kamar, and he says Daf Pei Aleph Omid Aleph 80 Daf into Menachos, unbelievable. You should bring an animal and bread, and he shall say, "Where's my bread?" Oh, brings this bread. If this one, the original number one, is Tmura, so then this guy great. So number 2 is the toida and the bread. But if number 1 is the actual toida ha-lachma, this is the bread. What about number 2? This should be exactly like it. It should be tmura of it. What's the problem? He just did it Issa Deraisa. Ani Mari, no way. Our boy Mekatve v'kosher, you're going to tell him to get 40 malchus and it should be kosher? No way. You don't tell a guy to do something like that. Why should he do l'chatchila iser to make something tmura? Not a good idea. So for the rest of the ideas, we're going to have to do the next year. Be'ezer Hashem, after B'dikas Chometz. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day, and please remember, do not fall off. Do whatever you can to chaparai and learn another daf, learn over Yom Tov as well. Every single day we learn, it's not about the daf, it's about the yomi. Have a wonderful day, and a chakosher v'sameach. If this is the last year before Yom Tov, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.